we face a new Bretton Woods moment. Thank you for joining us here today for this virtual workshop about how digital money can facilitate remittances. The eminent MIT economist Rudi Dornbusch famously said, "In economics, things take longer to happen than you think they will, and then they happen faster than you thought they could." Digital money is a perfect illustration. After a long period of development, the field is now on the cusp of major changes that have the potential to reshape cross-border payments and remittances. For example, last October, the Bahamas launched the Sand Dollar, the world's first central bank digital currency. Many other economies are exploring their own pilot programs. Other forms of digital money, such as privately issued stablecoins, are increasingly being used for cross-border payments. We are witnessing a revolution in digital money.
The third way we think CBDC can improve financial inclusion is through what we call programmability. That is, CBDC can allow government agencies and private sector players to program, to create smart contracts, to allow targeted policy functions. For example, welfare payment, for example, consumption coupon, for example, food stamp. By programming CBDC, those money can be precisely targeted for what kind of people can own and what kind of use this money can be utilized, for example, for food. So this potential programmability can help government agencies to precisely target their support to those people who need support.
Today's Tech Bite's a new way to get that cup of Joe more quickly. Starbucks is testing out Scanless Pay, a contact-free method of checkout that uses geolocation to identify the customer in the drive-thru lane. That means not even pulling out your phone to pay.
Uber, Bitcoin, self-driving cars. Combine those three together, and you have the self-owning taxi. A car that is a corporation that owns itself, pays for the car lease, the car insurance, and the gasoline from the revenues it makes, giving passengers a ride, and there's not a single human involved in that matter.
What's your thinking on the developments that we've seen this week coming out of the meeting in Johannesburg?
Well, you know, BRICS was always a very mixed bag. It was a creation of investment bankers on Wall Street who thought they saw developing markets, but these countries don't go together naturally. I mean, I think particularly India and Brazil, if they had their druthers, ought to get out of this group to begin with. China and Russia would love to get others to come in as part of their new emerging axis. I mean, I really think that China is now the leader of the Sino-Russian alliance, the reverse of what it was in the Cold War, and they'd very much like to get others to come in as they see what's happening around them. Why South Africa would want to get involved in that, I don't know. They've invited to join them in the meeting that's just been held Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates, and Iran. Now, if I were the Saudis and the Emiratis, I sure wouldn't want to get in a group that included Iran potentially. And I think that tells you something about the direction the BRICS are going in. I don't think they constitute a serious challenge at this point. Because the biggest economy of the group, China, is itself now going into a period of potential real trouble. And as China's population now has peaked and will be going down for the rest of the century, the idea that China is going to dominate the world economy is sinking with it. So before they get on a ship that may be headed to the bottom, I think other countries ought to think about it pretty carefully.
How do you think the United States is thinking about this, though, particularly those in the White House, when we have Saudi Arabia, the UAE, and Iran joining this group together? This is an unprecedented grouping, especially from a Middle East perspective. Do you think it says something about American influence and America's posture when it comes to foreign policy and security on the world stage?
Well, I think what it says first, most of all, is China's desire to get hydrocarbons because it's so energy poor as in terms of natural resources. The fact is the Gulf Arab states are at their wits' end with the Biden administration. The Saudis, in particular, the administration came in saying that this because of the Khashoggi murder, the Saudis were outlaws. Their administration's climate change aspirations implies they're going to put the Gulf Arabs, the oil-producing states, out of business for drilling all that terrible oil and natural gas. And, frankly, the White House pursuit of getting back in the 2015 Iran nuclear deal has driven the Gulf Arabs to distraction, driven them closer to Israel, ironically, because they at least share the same strategic view of the threat that Iran poses. So part of this, I think, is a failure of American leadership, a failure to see what our interests were and align them with the allies. And I think in that sense, the Saudis and the Emiratis, to an extent, are hedging their bets. I think a stronger American leadership would bring them back.
Going to a different economy, and we're going to be learning more about that as we go. But clearly, we're learning that things can be done from remote locations. We're learning that technology can replace people even more than we thought.
We're not going back to the same economy. We're recovering, but to a different economy, and it'll be one that is more leveraged to technology. And I worry that is going to make it even more difficult than it was for many workers.
In Silicon Valley, and my friends who work in technology know that what we did to the manufacturing workers, we are now going to do to the retail workers, the call center workers, the fast food workers, the truck drivers, and then even bookkeepers, accountants, insurance agents, lawyers, and on through the economy. So what happened to the manufacturing workers is a very clear sign.
And so we'll import Chinese-based CBDC technology. So it's going to be CBDC in a box provided to you by the People's Bank of China.
But every stock, every bond, every currency, every commodity, every piece of art, every private business, every piece of real estate will eventually be a token on a blockchain, an entry on a ledger, permanent and immutable. We will have truth instead of trust, and we will save over $7 trillion a year. 6 to 8% of global GDP is wasted by the friction of the trust industry that's necessary when you have dual entry accounting. With triple entry accounting, which is what a blockchain is, we get rid of all of that friction. It's a beautiful future.
Like what you see in China and their social credit scoring systems, right? If we get identity wrong, it could be a tool to enslave humanity. And if we get it right, it could be a tool to liberate humanity. And as an American, I'm obviously rooting for the one that's on the side of freedom.
Bitcoin is an international asset. And also, I do believe the role of crypto is it's digitizing gold.
I actually believe this technology is going to be very important. Look at it. We have been part of a huge revolution in investing through ETFs. We believe that ETFs will be changing the whole way we invest. Many people still use it as a means, people are investing it for indexing. No, the majority of people who are putting money in in ETFs are active investors that are buying exposure. The entire bond market is being transformed as we talk right now. I believe the next generation for markets, the next generation for securities will be tokenization of securities. And if we could have that distributed ledger that we know every beneficial owner, every beneficial seller, we all have our code of who's buying, who's selling, instantaneous settlement. And think about it, it changes the whole ecosystem.
Welcome to the Crypto Teacher. And guys, please like and subscribe if you do like what you're listening to. Please inform your friends and family and spread all over social media. It is imperative that we get back to learning finances and understand how the world really works, because once we understand how the world really works, We understand that it is all planned out. Now, I want to thank those who purchased the books Cryptoteacher and the New World Order book. Remember, the New World Order book shows you how the world really works, and it is definitely time for you to wake up out of that sleep, especially in the times that we're in right now. Now, guys, I told you in 2023 in the first quarter, we would get an event, and now we have the banking collapse, which the master magicians pulled off the perfect distraction. And at the end of the third quarter, going into the fourth quarter, guys, we're going to have another main event. Now, of course, the markets will still pump and dump until we get that next crisis. Guys, we know they're going to pull that rug. And all we have to do is watch the Fed to know exactly when that's about to happen. And also, guys, I want to thank those who purchased the 3 Kids books. It's time to re-educate. Also, much love to those who donate to the Cash App, Patreon. Much love. Keep it coming. Guys, if you're not a part of the Patreon, make sure you're donating to the channel through the actual Cash App. But guys, this next Bitcoin and crypto bull run is going to be a utility run. So you want to make sure you have the cryptos that have real utility. And much love to those who are shopping at both stores. Keep it coming. And of course, guys, we get into Bitcoin and cryptos first.
Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel.
And right now, guys, we have Bitcoin and crypto slightly up. Don't forget, we have CME tonight. We know it's going to move the market. And then, of course, once yield rates start moving, we know it's going to move the market again. And at this point in time, guys, yield rates are so important going forward. We know we need to look at the rest of the indicators, the dollar, the Fed repo. But, guys, yield rates are so important. And then, of course, guys, we have the dollar, which is getting stronger. We have yield rates, which are moving up. And we know that's not good for the markets. Even if you have manipulation in there, it's still not good for the markets. Now, we have volume in crypto has pulled back. We have Tether, USDC. And then, of course, guys, we have the Fed. Fed repo dropped all the way down to 1.6 trillion. We will see if it keeps coming down. We know that's going to help the markets. We know Janet Yellen is tapping that repo in order to put the funds back, the retirement federal funds that she took out. And we know that's the reason why we had received a pump in the first and second quarter. So, guys, you definitely have to make sure you're keeping an eye on all the moving pieces and then plus the geopolitical events. And now, guys, we have the Biden administration coming out with tax plans for crypto. But, guys, we know this is a good thing because we know a lot of people are going to look at this and say, hey, crypto must not be going anywhere if they're taxing it. And the government is bringing in rules. And, guys, us in crypto, we know for a fact crypto is not going anywhere. It is definitely the new financial system for the fourth industrial revolution. And I'm going to get into that later. But, guys, don't forget about Grayscale, sitting at about $21.7 billion on Friday. But getting over into a little crypto news, guys, we have the Ripple versus SEC movie because that's exactly what it is. It's not a case, guys. It is a movie. We clearly see Ripple also moving all the agendas. Climate change, CBDCs. Guys, do not get distracted. Remember the goal. And that's the fourth industrial revolution, where the robots, algorithms, and drones take the economy over, pay each other with crypto, and the sheep go inside the metaverse. And we see in the BRICS, we see all these currencies, they're going to need protocols like XRP, XLM, and Bitcoin Lightning, and others. And remember, the Cryptoteacher told you. And lastly, guys, we have a new Bretton Woods moment. Guys, we have the BRICS, and we know this was set up a long time ago. And we know the NWO used America to buy up the globe. But in the West, guys, we have freedoms. And we know the NWO doesn't like that. So now it's time for the bricks and the machines to rise. Remember, guys, this is biblical. And we know we're not going to see this in the mainstream media, that the BRICS nations are coming together to dethrone the United States. And people are going to look back in history and wonder what happened to the people, why they didn't do anything. Because we know the people were distracted. The same in Rome, distracted with circuses and free bread. in the United States, guys, is social media. And the people are just outright spoiled, distracted on things that don't matter, while we see the actual country crumbling. My people perish from the lack of knowledge because they reject it. Not because it's not there, because they reject it. And guys, we see with technology, we have all the information of history. But what we learn from history is that people don't learn from history. And the only thing we're doing is repeating it when we had the opportunity to change it. Remember, right now, guys, the slave has all the control. If you stop going to work, everything stops. Once these machines take over, we know the control goes back to the powers that be. The person who owns all the data is going to control the globe. And guys, that's the reason why it's so important for you to understand the technology, educate your friends and family, because you don't want anyone to feed you, because we know they're definitely going to starve you. We know the agenda. And never forget the goal, guys. It's the fourth industrial revolution. We have all these countries, looks like they're going against America, but remember, it's all to bring the countries together under a one world system. And it's all controlled under the central banks. And we know the banks are the biggest what? I'll let you finish that. And remember, the crypto teacher told you, because he knows when it comes to the NWO, it's all planned out. But that's all I have for you. Don't forget about the books, Crypto Teacher and the New World Order book, plus the 3 kids books. It's time to re-educate. Also, if new to cryptos, Coinbase, Bitrue, Binance, do not forget book links and crypto links are in the description. The stock channel, guys. Don't forget to go like, subscribe, spread everywhere. You have your Kobo, your chip stocks, your banking, your gaming. While everybody's sitting at home, get home stocks, the Seaver, the biotech stocks. And while everybody's at home wishing they were still getting that free money, what are they doing? Drinking and smoking weed. Don't forget about those stocks, and you have a wonderful day. The most powerful person in the world is the storyteller. The storyteller sets the vision, values, and agenda of an entire generation to come. Steve Jobs. And guys, you know I truly believe in this. When you look at the New World Order, they're the storytellers. And that's the reason why I wrote my New World Order book. But guys, now it's time to change the current generation. And I wrote 3 kids books. You know I love the Trinity because I understand the power that's in it. So I have 3 books. We have an opportunity to change the generation, to educate, not just me, but I want to show you that I take action on a daily basis. And I want you to take action on a daily basis. Whether it's your job, whether it's in your community, we have an opportunity right now to educate the masses. I posted this on my Twitter account. Please share, but this is a short clip of the 3 books. There's going to be a clothing line and action figures. Please get these books for your kids, nephews, cousins, friends, so therefore we can start the re-education now. Because as we see, the 4th Industrial Revolution foundation is definitely here. Robots, algorithms, drones, taking humanity out the picture. We have to re-educate. But let's get into the video.
Part 1. King Joshua and Grandma Tam save the village. Part 2. King Joshua and Grandma Tam save New York. Long COVID Stories 3. Part 3. King Joshua and Grandma Tam goes to China.
It's mandatory to get part 1, part 2, and part 3 of this series. It's time to re-educate Generation Z.